just because she acknowledges they're there, they're working. Maybe they want a snack. Maybe they want something to drink. So she doesn't even ask, can I get you something? She just puts it out there and is like, just grab it. It's like the honest Halloween people, just take one when you're trick-or-treating. So she's genius, if you ask me. Makes for a happy worker.
Here we go. So, hey, there he is. How you doing there? Yeah. How's your week so far?
Okay. My week's been unexpected, I guess you could say.
Unexpected. You got a little hesitation there, so I'm intrigued.
So if you're a close follower, subscriber of what we're doing here, you've heard me complain about some high-end cabinets downtown that had some radius edges to them.
No, this is coming back.
Well, I already replaced all these radius veneered edges once, right? And they said this won't happen again, and it did happen again. And this happened a few months back. So after that, I said, this is ridiculous. Like, I have to be crazy to replace these again. What is going on here? So we had a whole meeting downtown, meeting of the minds, and me, designer, the cabinet supplier, the sales rep, everything else. And they were building them differently. They weren't veneering this stuff. So the problem solved. Okay, fine. And then they said they had their own installers that they've used for years. Great contractor. He's going to come out and look at it. He'll do the project so that I don't have to go down and replace these again. Okay, fine. My issue at this meeting was that they have CM, which is 3/4 inch Italian marble, on top of all these radius edge island, everything else. So it's like, if someone breaks that, who's liable? Who's liable? And no one would answer that. Nobody would give me a solid answer. So I said, you know what? At this point, it doesn't matter. If you have your own installers doing this, they're going to come and take these out. The designer has the contract with the client. I fulfilled my end of the contract, so it is what it is. Well, this happened in January, and they were scheduled to come and start replacing all these cabinet pieces starting this Monday. So 2 days ago. The guy shows up with one of his guys Monday morning, and they would not let him in the building because they did not have adequate insurance to work in the building. They did not have proper coverage to work in the building. So the designer called me and said, Todd, what are we going to do? We need to do something. Can they work under your insurance? And I said, well, typically I would always say no.
Right.
But if all they're doing is mill work, I said, send me their insurance. I'll send their insurance to my insurance guy, and maybe we can try and work something out in some way, shape, or form. Like if I need to write something up, I don't know. But let insurance company talk to insurance company and make sure we're covered and see if we can make something happen. Maybe they're on as a subcontractor under my company. As long as I'm covered, like we always say, cardinal rule, right? CYA, cover your ass. As long as I'm covered, then fine. I'm okay with that. So sure enough, my insurance guy talked to their insurance company, and he said, you know what? He said, it'll be fine if you put them on, we'll just list all this as additional insured. They're not doing anything with water lines. They're not touching any electrical. So they're not going to burn the place down. They're not going to start hopefully, right? They're not going to start a water leak, whatever. So I said, fine. As long as I'm covered, fine. Oh, Tuesday, no one can get a hold of this contractor. Doesn't return anybody's call. Doesn't return anybody's email. Nothing. Whole day. The cabinet sales rep is calling them. The designer's calling them. The designer's assistant's calling them. Nothing. Ghosted everybody. So she calls me. Now this is Wednesday. Now calls me this morning. Says, Todd, no one can get a hold of this guy. He better be dead in a ditch somewhere because no one knows what happened to him. He just ghosted us and completely flaked out. So she was like, do you have any opening in your schedule? Like what, and I was like, look, I was going to be there for 2 days anyway because my electrician was finishing some stuff. My plumber was finishing some stuff. So I was going to be down there for 2 days anyway. So I said, I'll do it. I'll bring a guy with me. I'll do it. But I said, just know that clearly I'm not going to be cheap. Like, I'm charging this cabinet company because now they're upsetting my schedule. They've delayed this project. I've already done this twice. Now I'm doing it a third time. So I'm not going to be friendly. I was nice the first time. Mistakes happen, professional courtesies and whatnot. But the second time around, no, no. And you swore.
Yeah.
You swore by your contractor he's solid. We've worked with him for years, does a great job, blah, blah, blah. Really? And you don't have the professional courtesy to, like, if you didn't want the project, say, I'm sorry, I just can't do this. You just don't answer your phone, nothing. So now I'm spending the rest of my week downtown again so I can do this. And this is really like me doing this as a courtesy to, I know the designer, I know the cabinet distributor, I like the client, the homeowner. Like, so it's just like, I don't want to screw over all these people. They're not going to find anybody to come in and pick up on a project like that that's 90% done, and you're going to be potentially liable for cracking Italian marble countertops. No one's stepping into that project unless you got a screw loose, So clearly I have a screw loose because I'm going to do it. So I just like, I can't just hang all these people out to dry. So I was like, fine, I'll do it. So my week changed quite a bit. So yeah, so We'll see how that goes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
You're going to need it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
That's not going to be fun. Not going to be fun.
Not looking forward to it.
Well.
So, anyway, how's your week?
Right. Good. It's going good. I'm trying to think of any major issues or problems I'm having right now. Not really having much. Right now, what I'm trying to do is get someone to build a custom washing drip pan to go underneath the washing machine. We're building a custom like laundry room closet with the washer and dryer built in with cabinets all around it. And what I'm trying to accomplish is because it's going to be on the second floor, I want to put a washing pan underneath it. And it's kind of surprisingly, the washing machine is a weird dimension. It's not like a standard dimension. So getting a washing machine pan specifically for that one is tough. Now I could just get the next size up that's standard, but it's a slightly too big. And because the way we're designing the cabinets, we want like every single inch that we can get so we can build out as much space in the cabinets around it as possible. I'm trying to get one. I have an outfit that makes these pans right here in America, made in America. And we're all good here. But finding them, dealing with them, talking to them. I was going back and forth with customer service today, trying to make sure that all the bits and pieces and details that I want, they can do. They said that they can. So now I just got to put together a drawing or a plan set for them to take a look at. And so I'm working on that right now.
Okay.
So custom shower pan.
Why is this? Why are these not typical dimensions? Is it what's a brand? Is it doing some European washing machine?
It's LG. It's an LG washing machine. It's kind of like it's not technically a compact washing machine, but somehow she found this, it's same capacity, but smaller footprint washing machine. It's an LG, but
yeah,
from the manufacturer for the drip pan, they're standard sizes. They just don't make that size that I need. Yeah. Like, for instance, the depth of the pan, I need it to be, the pan itself needs to be 31.25 inches for the pan. So you see how it's like, that's not a standard like depth.
Sure.
For a washing machine. So it's just weird. But so I'm working on that.
Okay. Nice.
But it's really cool. We're going to get the pan, and then I'm planning on powder coating it white so it kind of matches in with the cabinets. I was going back and forth. Do you match the cabinets or do you match the black washing machine? It's like, I don't know. I think it's because it's going to be, I don't know. I'm thinking white with the cabinets at the moment.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So nothing crazy. Yeah.
Gotta be done.
And I have an answer for everything. So far, just need to get it done.
Good.
Yep.
Progress.
I'm afraid of what this shower or this washing pan is going to cost me. Custom built washing machine pan. Ridiculous. I'm sure
Just
it's
get
going to
your
be
just get your HVAC guy to bend up some sheet metal. Just make it out of.
Yeah.
It'll be
Sure.
fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Won't leak. We'll just caulk the edges. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Spray paint it.
No big
Yeah.
deal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There you go. You can customize it any color you want. We'll spray paint this any color you want.
I don't know. Why don't we can we just make a like a pan out of wood and then we'll spray it with that that like roof cement and call it a day.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Done. What is that?
Done. Boom.
Hey, what is that stuff that the dude had the shit? I can't think of the name of it right now.
Flex Seal?
Flex Seal. Yeah, that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Crazy. Well, all right. Well, on that note, before we get into too many jerry rigging stuff,
right?
We're here for another week of the Renovation Situation podcast, where we pull back the layers of this complex remodeling industry. So grab your beverage of choice, and I'm Joe, and I'm rehydrating from the weekend. So I got some lemon lime hydration water. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Had a wedding over the weekend, so I am rehydrating.
There you go.
But what you got over there, Todd?
Todd from Chicago is not rehydrating. I am on a Manhattan currently.
Ooh, you love Manhattans.
I love my Manhattans, man. Yeah,
nice.
I love it. Little spicy, little sweet, little yeah. I love my Manhattans.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, I'm on the bullet rye Manhattan today. That's what happens when you pull me back into a downtown project. I'm making Manhattans. It's just the thought of having to get up at 5:30 in the morning to go downtown.
Yeah, and then sit in traffic on the way home. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to
maybe even get your car towed. It's gonna be great. Yeah.
Right.
Good.
There's one good thing in that building. It's actually I do get a inside parking space.
So, awesome. Yeah. Wow, that's pretty cool.
That's a pretty nice bonus. Yeah. Because she has a space, the owner has a space, but she does not have. She doesn't even own a car, so that's just my space. Yeah,
it's my space.
My space.
Yeah. No longer around. Facebook took them over. Now that we're dating ourselves here,
right? So when we were talking about some different topics, we kind of came across. We've been doing these 101s. We talk mostly about the things that we do and the way we operate, and kind of thought maybe, maybe we turn this around for an episode and say, what does it look like from the homeowner's perspective? What do we want them to bring to the table so that we're dealing with a good client? We're happy working on their home. Your guys, whether they're employees or subs or whoever it is, they want to go there. What makes that client good? So that brought up quite a few different questions, and you can approach that from a number of different angles, from things as basic as I have a client who I know both of my guys love her because she's a genius and puts out just a bag of potato chips, candy, Gatorade, pop, just this big basket every day. Both of them just yeah, they love her. And so they, when are we going back to Donna's? Because Donna has treats. So there's something as simple as that, right? Where it's like they're happy just because she acknowledges they're there, they're working. Maybe they want a snack, maybe they want something to drink. So she doesn't even ask, "Can I get you something?" She just puts it out there and is like, "Just grab it." It's like the honest Halloween people, Just take one when you're trick-or-treating. So she's genius, if you ask me. Makes for a happy worker.
That's awesome. Yeah. That reminds me of a client that I had many years ago when we sat down to sign the contract. After we were all done with the construction contract, she asked me what my favorite cookies were. And she had cookies every week, like laid out, just take as many as you want, whenever you want.
Nice.
Yeah. So I had like unlimited supply of cookies on that project. It was fantastic. Loved it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and it is. It's so
there you
sometimes
go.
something as simple as that, right?
Yeah. It just shows like appreciation. We don't get a whole lot of that. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just think about what you're willing to do for a cookie when you're there. Like, just think about that, right? It sounds stupid, but
it's true.
That makes you want to do a better job. It really does.
It does.
Like, I'm not going to skimp on this because I got unlimited cookies. So like, we're going to do this. We're going to do it right. We have a cookie coming.
No one's cutting corners when they got cookies.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Are you going to tell me what kind of cookie this was, or do I have to guess?
Go ahead, guess. You might know.
Okay.
You don't know what my favorite cookie is?
Macadamia nut cookies.
Jesus.
Chocolate chip.
My favorite cookie is oatmeal raisin cookie.
Oatmeal raisin.
Yeah, I figured you were a chocolate chip. Yeah.
Oatmeal raisin is
Leave comment down below. Tell us what your favorite cookie is.
Yeah. Who doesn't love cookies?
Yeah, right. We should get a poll together, find out what's the favorite cookie of our listeners, right?
Absolutely.
That way we can get the homeowners, when the homeowners listen to this, they can go down and see what kind of cookies they should be providing. That's it. Boom. And so there you go. Here's our podcast. Just leave us cookies.
It's all about cookies. It's all about
That's all the homeowners need to know, right?
Yeah. Everyone's happy when they get their cookies. Right?
Right.
Take that hard.
So how to be the best homeowner or for residential projects, or what we're thinking about, what we want in our clients, that kind of thing, kind of expectations maybe. All right.
Expectations, certainly. Yeah.
First one was cookies. Well, let's move on from there.
One note I had on here was really just at the outset, on a more serious note, like this is an agreement, right? It's called, you're entering into an agreement. So know what you're agreeing to. Take the time to read through. Don't just look at the price at the bottom. Take the time to read through and understand what you're agreeing to. This is what we're offering. This is what we're providing. This is what we are not offering. Any good contractor is going to have specific exclusions in there. And that could be errors and omissions by your interior designer. That could be existing conditions. There's a number of things in there. But know that going in. So you don't say, oh, well, you're not going to just fix my floor and fix my walls and make everything absolutely perfect. When everything's out of square, everything's out of plumb, everything's out of level. It's like, no, we didn't read your contract. We didn't agree to that, right? So I think that's part of it, is on the front end, just know what you're agreeing to, know what you're entering into.
Yeah, I think you touched on it. A very important issue that I've had in the past was that realization, maybe, that I've had, that a lot of homeowners, they're not reading the contract. And unfortunately, if there is a problem, concern, something needs to change, they didn't read the contract. They didn't realize that X, Y, and Z wasn't included. And that doesn't mean that every contract out there, like, it doesn't mean that we're providing the best contract. So we're gonna screw up also. But I guess what I'm trying to say is just make sure that you actually read the contracts and the scopes. And if we're not providing a scope, then you should ask what's specifically included and what's specifically not included. We do that. I know you do that, but a lot of contractors out there skip on that. Maybe they don't know that they're supposed to be doing that, or maybe that they're just lazy. But if it's not included in that contract, if it's not specifically spelled out, then you should assume that it's not included. Now, it's tough because you're not, from our point of view, we're expecting you to know the things that you don't know. And that's kind of a sticky situation. That's why it's really important through the design stage that you guys kind of hit on all the ifs, ands, and buts that you don't know or that you need to know. Maybe you don't know that you don't know, but you need to ask those questions. And hopefully your contractor is helping with that and kind of to open up those lines of communication to find out what it is you do and don't know about what's included, what's not included. Just don't rely on the verbal or your assumption that it's included, because that's really important. Just because you're assuming that touching up the holes in the wall was included, doesn't mean that your contractor was expecting that. So assumptions are really scary. So don't assume. Make sure you get it laid out and talk about all the details. So read the scope. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, and I guess it's kind of along the same lines, but you said ask questions, which is, that was my second one for sure. It's actually, and maybe this sounds a little strange, but it's just being honest with yourself. So if you're asking those questions, I mean, really think about it. Like, okay, is this going to bother me that there's going to be these construction guys in my house at 8:00 in the morning until 5:00 at night, Monday through Friday? And there's going to be noise. There's going to be dust. There's going to be all these things. As much as we try and explain that and manage those expectations up front, and sometimes I feel like you get that casual homeowner who just says, well, we understand, we get it, no big deal. And then 2 weeks in, all of a sudden it's, your guys were really noisy yesterday. They left and there was, there's dust on the floor and this and that. And it's like, I got along the same lines. Know what you're getting into, know what you're going to expect, what that looks like in the beginning of the day and the end of the day, at the end of every day, and be honest with that. Be honest with yourself, be honest with your contractor. Is this going to bother you? This is going to bother me if you guys are making noise. I work from home for 2 hours. Can we have some sort of window where I'm doing my Zoom call and blah, blah, blah? Can we do that up front? Or are you going to get upset because we're hammering away and playing music when you're in your home office? Anything along those lines. It's just the more of those questions you have up front, the more of those questions you get answered up front, the smoother your project is, the better understanding we have of being in your home, so we can decrease all these inconveniences that we're causing.
Yeah, it's very invasive, a remodeling project.
Yeah.
And as exciting as it is in the beginning of your remodel project, in the middle of it, it's not exciting anymore. And you just want it over with. And that's where the frustration starts to hit. I think having that realization and expectation ahead of time will help alleviate some of that. So knowing that this is very invasive, it's going to take much longer than you expect, and it's going to be a difficult period in your life, and it causes stress on the spouse as well. So the overall relationship gets tough. So I think having the realization that, which is what you said, that this is invasive, we just have to buckle down and get through it. And I think, again, your contractor is supposed to be bringing these things up and talking you through these ahead of time in the design and the pre-construction and all that. Just setting that expectation for you ahead of time, I think that's going to really help. Yeah. So I think it's really important.
I like your use of the word invasive, because I say that. Yeah, I say that pretty often.
I say that all the time.
Yeah, I walked through a project last week, just quick, initial walkthrough of a potential project, and it's full gut kitchen, full gut of a laundry room, which is right next to the kitchen, full gut of a powder room, which is right off of the kitchen, all new floors on the first floor. And that was the exact word I used. They said, this is very invasive. So are you living here when we're doing this? Because you're not going to have a laundry room. Yeah. You're not going to have a kitchen. You're going to be down a bathroom. You're not going to have any floors. Like, this is very invasive. And they said, well, we do have a condo downtown, so we could stay downtown if we have to. I said, great. Absolutely stay downtown for everyone's benefit. For everyone's benefit. Stay downtown. So Yeah, I love the use of the word invasive.
Yeah, let's just hit on that real quick. If you as the homeowner have the ability to stay somewhere else,
Mm.
please do. It'll get done faster and you'll be happier. And most likely we'll probably have a better product at the end as well. It's just difficult to live through a remodel project. It's difficult to live not have a kitchen for months at a time. So it's really tough on everybody. So if you can, even I know I've had clients rent, like they would go and rent a 6-month lease somewhere. And if you can do that, I mean, put that in the budget if you can. If the remodel project's that big, you have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to come out alive on the other side with your sanity and intact. Yeah.
Right.
So I want to tie this kind of everything up. Is communication, and everything will be fixed as long as we're communicating, and we're communicating often and early. So I think all of this is also being available during the project as well. Not necessarily, you don't need to be there, but if we come up with an issue or problem and we need your decision on which direction you want to go with something that we find or something like that, you guys should be having a conversation before the project starts about what the best form of communication is, if that's email or text or phone calls. You should determine that ahead of time and then stick with that and just be as responsive as possible as soon as possible, because remember that we have guys and they cost money, and in more, not all the time, but there might be a situation where we need an answer right now before we can move forward with anything. It doesn't happen often, but you never know. It is a remodeling project. So just have the expectation that you're on call 24/7 or during at least for the 8 hours or during regular business hours. You're on call, and try to be as responsive as you can, knowing that we're trying to get through this as fast and as best as we can as well. And sometimes things come up and we need to know a yay or a nay and which way you want to go with it. Just communicate and everything should be fine.
Yeah. Communication is key.
That's as much as, yeah. And that's as much as us as well as the customer as well. Like,
Sure.
Two-way
street.
Yeah. And let's bring up another situation where in the middle of the project, you might see something. Don't be afraid to mention it. We're walking through that space and we have 114 things in our head and we're trying to catch everything. You walk in, if you catch something, that doesn't mean that we saw it. So if you're concerned about something, please bring it up, because it's going to be much easier to fix now than if you wait to find out if I catch it. And then let's say I don't catch it and then it gets too far and you go, hey, I remember seeing this a month ago and it's still not fixed. Well, a month ago, I could have fixed it very easily and not cost anything. Now it's going to set us all back big time. Schedule, pricing, everything is an issue because of it. Majority of the time, we see it. It's just not the right time to fix that at the moment. So we're just waiting to get to that. But that's okay. We're okay with you bringing it up. Thank you for showing it to me. I got it, seen it. It's on my radar. No problem. But at least you brought it up. Because if you don't and I don't see it, it's an issue later.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Good point. I tell people that too. I say, look, we're human. We may miss something. I like to think we don't, but we may miss something. So this is your home. If you may be in there even like just a different time of day, we're in there and we see your house in a certain light, right? The sun's in the same freaking orbit every day when we're there. We see that at a certain time of day. You may see certainly completely different angle where that natural light's hitting it in a different glare and it hits that wall a little different. It hits that paint a little different. We may not have seen that. So I tell people the same thing is if you see something, say something. I'm not offended by that. I'm happy to have that conversation. Like, oh no, we're aware. We've seen it. It's on our list, but I totally appreciate you bringing that up. Or it may be, hey, I've said that before. You know what? I didn't see that. I'm glad you pointed that out. Thank you for pointing that out. I'll certainly take care of it. So yeah, good point. Again, comes back to conversation, communication. Comes back to communication. Yeah.
I really like your point about the lighting, though. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
It makes a difference.
Or
it makes a difference.
Or the other problem where, yeah, we did see it, and let's have that awkward conversation that you have to live with it, right?
Yeah.
Because, and brings us right into,
we saw it. We're just not going to do shit about it.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do about it. But this brings me right into my next point that I want to make is homeowners, please realize that it's a remodeling project and there's going to be flaws and mistakes and issues that may not be able to be resolved without causing additional issues or problems or mistakes elsewhere down the line. And so this usually happens on every project. So just know that this is a thing. There will be somewhere that you need to compromise. Nothing is going to be perfect. It is a remodel project. The house isn't brand new, and even if it was, it'd probably be even worse. There's compromises somewhere. Now, we just have to decide where those compromises are going to be placed during the project. And usually, 99% of the time, these compromises, they don't often necessarily matter in the big scope of things. I want to be careful with that because everybody has their own expectations and level of what they're willing to concede with. So just know that there's going to be things that you may need to just say, you know what, I have to accept that that's like going to be like that, because in order to fix that, we have to tear the rest of the house apart to build around it, or, it's just like, it's not there's no reality there. So just be open-minded, be flexible, be realistic.
Yeah.
And have those conversations with your contractor. And that's where the expertise of the contractor is going to help with deciding where the compromise should be. And most often they're making those compromises and those decisions as they move along with the project 9 times out of 10 without even discussing it with you, because they're all very minor, small, and you wouldn't even see them or notice them. And that's just us moving the project along, and that's why you hired us. I would say to the contractors out there, if it is going to be a visible, noticeable one, it might be, depending on what it is, worth having a conversation and bringing it up to them ahead of time. And like, look here, this is going to be off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, an example, the tile grout lines are going to be off from one wall to the other. It's because these two tiles, they say that they're the same, and on paper they're the same, and we ordered them and they say that they're the same, but as you can clearly see, one is a 32nd smaller than the other, and as they grow, you'll start seeing the grout line more and more and more. So stuff like that. Somewhere we have to decide where we make up that difference, right? It'll be things like that. Just be a decent human being and know that things like that happen, and let's work through them and be open-minded and realistic and flexible.
Be a decent human being. I want to put that in my contract, actually. I said, be a decent human being. Can you please sign this?
That's what I say for my very first initial consult. Like the very first initial consult is right. If you email me, you email us at plumperfectbuilders.com.
Right.
You email us and you go, hey, I'm thinking about remodeling my kitchen. I'm going to reach out and say, great, let's have let's do this exactly like this. Let's do a virtual meeting and let's get to know each other. And really, the goal is just to find out if you're a decent human being. That's the goal of that meeting.
I like it.
That's it. Yeah, that's the goal. And then we move on to finding out more after that meeting. But really that meeting is just to find out, is the project in my wheelhouse? Do you want to work with me? And do I want to work with you? And that, am I a decent human being in your eyes? Maybe I'm not. And are you a decent human being in my eyes? Because everything else at that point, we can start working out and working together. But if we can't work together, those red flags usually come up early. Then this is a long process and a lot of details and choices need to be made. And we need to be able to communicate well with each other through the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. Good point. One other note I had, which was I guess you can put that in the pre-construction, pre-agreement type phase where you get the potential client who maybe you like them, maybe you want to work with them, maybe you like the project, and then they say, well, our cousin's boyfriend's sister has a friend who is a plumber, so he's going to do the plumbing work. And we're like, no, he's not. No, he's not. He's not. Like, this one-off fucking person, excuse my French, this one-off person that you're because somebody knows them in your family, you want to hire them, you think you're going to save a few bucks, you think, like, no, like, your contractor has no working relationship with these people. We don't know their capabilities, we don't know their qualifications, we don't know if they're actually going to show up. We're on a timeline that we would like to keep. We have rapport with the subcontractors that we have built up over the years. We've worked very hard to establish that rapport so that when there's issues on a project, which inevitably there are, we know how to best resolve those. We know how they work. They know how we work. I had my plumber say that to me. He said, after a few projects, okay, we know how you work. We like how you work. And then we just iron out those little details. It's like, this is what I know he needs before he starts. This is what he knows I need from him. And it works beautiful. Don't interrupt that. We work hard at that. That's part of our job. Don't interrupt that. Huge no in my book.
100%. You are 100% correct. The amount of effort, time spent trying to build those relationships over time and vetting them and working with them and struggling through the miscommunications and figuring out how they work and figuring out how we work and getting that to the point where they will answer our phone call and not ghost us like that other contractor that you were talking about earlier, right?
Good job bringing that full circle.
That's a perfect example. Perfect example. So
unintended, but yeah.
It's not anything against your family member who's a plumber or electrician or whatever that person is. Nothing against that. And no, it's not that we want to make more money and we can upcharge our contractor. It's not any of that.
Mm-hmm.
It is all relationship-based concerns. That is where we are 100% coming from. It is our job, and I like to say this, my job, majority of the time, my job is to think 12 steps ahead of all the things that can go wrong. That's pretty much what my job is. So when you tell me that there's going to be a contractor that I have to work with that I've never worked with before, I have 101 reasons and problems and things that I'm now concerned about. And those don't go away until the project is over with.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm concerned with all of those. You just added so much more things for me to concern myself with throughout this whole process.
Sure.
Forever, right?
Yep.
Because I don't know that contractor. So it's really tough to get through because I know you really want to use Uncle Bob, but I don't know Uncle Bob, and I understand where you're coming from. But please understand where we're coming from. I'm thinking Uncle Bob is a nice guy. I get it, but
I'm sure Uncle Bob is great to have a beer with and tell some stories. But Uncle Bob wants to work a 3-hour day, and that's it.
Maybe. Right. And And maybe Uncle Bob's better than my plumber, and everything would be smoothingly, right? And like, go great. Maybe it will, but because we don't know, we want to eliminate as many of the unknowns before we start that project. And that's a huge unknown. And that's our job. And unfortunately, even other contractors. So let's say it's not Uncle Bob, but it's just you used this plumber before in your house and you've loved them, and now you want to use them on this project. That's tough too, because again, it's the relationship that we don't have. I'm building the schedule. I'm in control of the schedule. I'm responsible for the schedule. And I don't know if this new contractor is able to stick to a schedule or not. One hiccup in the schedule screws up everything down the line, and it's a huge mess. So
chain reaction.
That's where we're coming from on that one.
Yeah. Chain reaction.
Yeah. I want to bring up another best practices for our homeowners is try to not make any decisions once the project has started. As far as changes, there's going to be changes and problems and concerns. There's going to be plenty of those to deal with. Let's not, hey, I don't like that faucet anymore. Can we just switch out the plumbing faucet? Well, no. Because the complication of dealing with that right at the moment, and are you willing to buy another faucet because you bought this one already? Now what? Now, and then can we return it? I don't know. Maybe not. Most of those things you can't return, or if we can return, it would be a restocking fee, and we have all those problems.
30%
not to mention
fee.
We designed around these dimensions of whatever it is that you want to change, and so really that's what the design stage is for. That's why we have a design process in place, and that's why we go through all those things ahead of time. Try to not make those changes. I like to say pencils are down at contract. So yeah, my client today, she actually tried to change this very thing, and I talked her down from it today, and she was very appreciative that we walked through and talked through it all. But she made this realization. She said, I have to put the pencil down. And I've used this before. I do. I always say pencils are down. She said this on her own. She goes, I need to put the pencil down. I need to stop dressing the pig. Which I thought was kind of fun. Yeah.
All right. I like that.
The saying of
lipstick on a pig,
perfume on a pig, lipstick on a pig. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Lipstick on the pig. Right. So she's like, I need to stop dressing the pig. And I said, the pig is pretty the way it is. We've designed this for 2.5 years now. We're all good.
Right.
She's like, yeah, I need to put the pencil down. And so you've heard me say that enough times, right?
I like that.
Yeah. So yeah. And I like that she's the one that brought it up. Dressing the pig. Saying. I like that.
I like the saying, and I appreciate the self-awareness from the client. She's like, okay, yeah, I need to stop. Yeah. That's good. That's a perfect example of just good communication, right? Yep. She's aware. You explain it to her. You walk through this. She's aware that she's like, yeah, this is too much. Okay, I need to stop. Perfect, as it should be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which brings me right into another topic, which is analysis paralysis. Pencils are down, right? This is right. This all blends into. Sometimes you just need to stop researching and make a decision.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
And that's really hard for me to say that because I have that personality where I will overanalyze to the nth degree. I will research things for weeks on end, and I have to, I like to use this example in the beginning, finding out how my clients are going to be during the design stage. I ask them, there's 1,200 toilets out there. Are you the type of person that needs to see every 1,200 toilet? Do you want to see all 1,200 toilets? before you make a decision? Or do you want me to just provide you with the 3-5 best toilets that based off of your design and everything that was going on?
Mhm.
Which one are you? And I'm very much I need to see all 1,200 toilets before I can make a decision. And so it's hard for me to bring this topic up, but realizing that it's not good for production and the project overall and everybody's sanity, try to limit that.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm basically talking to myself.
I will say,
But
I think my biggest, and this has happened on a couple projects lately. Like one thing that I tend to leave open, even in starting projects, is paint colors. And I usually do that because that's something that's very difficult to select up front when you don't have your lighting in, you don't have your tile in, you don't have your hardwood floors finished. That's something that just your cabinets aren't installed. It's difficult to pick that. So, and it's also readily available. This is the paint you pick. I can go to the paint store and get it mixed in 20 minutes. I'll be back in an hour, you know? So I always leave that open. And then you have the fan decks and you have the samples and everything else. And now they have even like places like Material Bank, if you're familiar with that. Like they'll send you free samples and you just, 8.5 by 11. This is the color of this paint and just stick it to the wall. Great. So on two projects in this past month or 6 weeks or so, I have gone through, I couldn't even tell you how many paint samples, to the point of frustration. One was just a hall bathroom that we had 8 paint samples on the wall, all the same color family.
wow.
They picked one. We painted the whole bathroom. And then she said, no, it's not right. And she picked yet another one. So a 9th color. And I told them, I said, I'm sorry, but I have to charge you. Like, you picked that paint color, we painted it. She said, no, I know, but it's not right. And I said, okay, that's fine. Well, we'll paint it again. So we did. Me personally, I couldn't tell the difference. It was the same color family. It was like a shade different, but to her, it made a difference. So that's fine. I get it. But I guess part of my point is when you're going through that many samples and you get that to, like you had brought up, with just analysis paralysis. When you do that, it's a chain reaction for us. Like, we have other projects that we're doing. We have other projects we want to start. We have other guys on schedule. So if I painted your place, okay, my electrician's coming in tomorrow to put those sconces on the wall and to put the cover plates on your switches and outlets and whatever else and make sure everything's properly aligned. So now if you're changing your paint color, I'm calling my electrician at 5:00 at night and saying, hey, sorry, you can't come tomorrow. They changed the paint color. Sorry. As an example, granted, I could have my guys or the painter could even put the cover plates on and what have you, but I actually like the electrician to come in when the paint's done and properly finish everything out. He can align his outlets and switches and make sure the cover plates all fit right, put his sconces in and make sure they're nice and level and put together the way they're supposed to be. So you disrupt that by that analysis paralysis.
Yeah. Agreed. 100%. Yeah. 8, 9 samples. Wow.
For a hall bath.
I do not like picking paint colors. As we already discussed, I'm very much the type of person who needs to go through 8 samples before I'm never happy. You never know. It's like paint colors are my nemesis. Leave it. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything left that you want to talk about? I think we kind of hit a bunch of interesting things.
I think we did a lot. One last quick note. I know we're running kind of long here, but one last quick note I will say is I think I've had one client, as long as I've been in business, that actually asked me at the end of a project, and she said, how did we do? And I said, what do you mean?
Wow.
And she said, like, as a client, like, how did we do? Like, did we make your job easier or more difficult? Or she's like, I know I ask a lot of questions. So she said, how did we do? And I told her, I said, you are the first person that has ever asked me that question. And I can't tell you how much I appreciated it. Like, it almost brings a tear to my eye to think of how much I appreciated her asking that question. you know, because it was just like
Yeah.
the fact that you weren't thinking about like, did we spend our money properly? Did we make the right decisions? You were curious, like, did we enjoy working on your home? Would we come back to do another project on your home? Like that is such a unique outlook at the end of a project that it's just couldn't tell you how much I appreciated that.
Yeah. Wow. That's unique. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's all
All
I
right.
got.
On that note, be good customers, everybody.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.